Welcome again to Trev's Talk. This is episode 9 and I'm your host, Trev. Last week I promised a talk on the Medjugorje Centre being spiritually led to giving out scholarships. To give you an idea of how the dreams work, I will read you an entry from my journal. Entry for the 18th of August 2010. I awoke at 2:50 a.m. by having my name, Trevor, called again by a nice female voice like before. It was insistent and urgent, making me sit up quickly and answer strongly, but still not waking my wife, Alva, who is a light sleeper. Maybe this is to show me that I can be woken without waking Alva. End of journal entry. Then from my next journal entry, I awoke again at 5:10 a.m, having just dreamed of a parent holding hands with me and having a lean, supple youth doing talented, graceful ballet leaps over our extended and linked arms. I feel this is a clue to use the Medjugorje Centre to do scholarships for talented youth and working with the parents as well. End of journal entry. So the first entry is an example of being awakened to write in my journal without waking my wife. That brings me to another similar journal entry in the following month, where I was being taught Alva would not be disturbed when I was given dreams and wake-ups. So, journal entry for the 11th of September 2010 says, it's 2:30 a.m. and I just dreamed about coming out here to the kitchen and shutting the door behind me, and I had the thought, peace and quiet. So I imagine that will happen more frequently now, more writing after dreams, and I can be awakened to come out here without waking Alva. End of journal entry. Now back to my story. I have had many dreams with wake-ups like this one I have just described, without disturbing Alva, which blew me away to some extent. I was amazed that Alva never got awakened, but I was happy that was the case because I did not want her disturbed. The second journal entry, when I dreamed of the young ballet leaping youth, is really a prophecy, because it is talking of something to come in the future. Because I knew it was a special dream, I kept the scholarships idea firmly in the back of my mind until just recently, when I received a large generous donation from a donor couple who insist on complete anonymity. The Medjugorje Centre has put the donation in a special account called the Scholarship Fund, and I have contacted the principal of the Aboriginal school nearby to arrange with him the best way to give scholarships to students he and his staff select. The principal is currently investigating the best way for his government school to accept money from us in the private sector. That principal, whose name is Pete, is the real deal. If anyone can get the government to enable us to privately fund public school students, then that is definitely Pete. Now, last episode, I mentioned that this scholarship idea was first hinted to me by GBs way back in August 2010, and just now I have started to set it in motion, nearly 15 years later. As this scholarship idea starts to unfold, I will continue to chat about it in coming episodes so that you, wonderful listener, will see what develops from the original GBs all those years ago. GBs are hints to make me take notice and powerful motivators to make me act on whatever the GBs made me take notice of. For example, back in episode 3, I mentioned the work I have done at the Aboriginal school in my local area. I spent 10 years at that school coordinating many volunteers in a wide variety of programs and projects, which ended in March 2020 due to the COVID pandemic. I left a greatly improved school. My total commitment to helping the school was initiated by GBs. Here are a few words from my journal entry of the 23rd of February 2010. I'm seemingly getting the goosebumps more frequently of late, so I'm going to record what is happening. A few weeks ago, I got them quite strongly at the word school or schools, so I was open to anything about schools that came up. I then thought of visiting the Aboriginal school in Middle Swan. I arranged a meeting with the principal and very quickly came up with a footy boot prize scheme as an incentive for good attendance and behaviour. I got help from Vinnie's to implement this scheme. In my second meeting with the principal, I asked him if he would be okay to consult with other schools regarding the scheme. At my asking, I received GBs, goosebumps, very strongly. So from GBs in February 2010, I was led to 10 years of highly valued work at the local Aboriginal school, which was badly performing in 2010 and rose to being the top school in a group of like schools when I left it in March 2020. I did do some good work at that school, but I was led to do it by Our Lady, who is the one who gives me the GBs or goosebumps. Now, the scholarship idea I mentioned a couple of minutes ago were first drawn to my notice by GBs in August 2010, and I am just now, 15 years later, getting ideas on how I can use the scholarships idea to do some good works, which I will report to you, wonderful listeners, as I go along trying to do the good works. That should be interesting for me and for you as well. Back in episode 5, I said I had 2 dreams of Our Lady which showed me that 1, she had led me to go to Medjugorje to receive my encounters with the Holy Spirit, and 2, she was my guide and teacher. I am going to tell you about my journal entries that made me believe all that. Journal entry for the 17th of September 2010. It's 1:30 a.m. and I just woke after dreaming that I was documenting my first special dream back in 1991. It was the one where I was swimming midstream in a swollen river of turds and got rescued by a tallish, beautiful lady in a shining white robe. I have already recorded this dream on the 31st of May 2010, but mention it again as this dream is a confirmation that it was Our Lady rescuing me. I think I should also write my story of how Our Lady led me to go there. I will do that as a story of its own. End of journal entry. Then journal entry for the 31st of May 2010. I dreamed about crapping 3 humongous turds. Strange, but it reminded me about the other time I dreamed about turds. Shortly after coming back to Perth from Medjugorje, I dreamed that I was a turd swimming in a swollen river of turds, and a beautiful tallish lady in a white flowing robe threw me a rope. I caught the rope, and the beautiful lady started pulling me out of midstream to the riverbank. Foul liquid dripped from the rope she was pulling hand over hand. The liquid fouled her hands and robe, but she kept pulling me until I was safe on the riverbank. This was clearly a dream to show me that Our Lady led me to go to Medjugorje to meet the Holy Spirit for my beautiful experiences there and be returned to God. After dreaming the 3-turd dream, I went back to sleep and dreamed that I was dancing with a beautiful tallish lady. She was a good smooth dancer, and I was rather awkward. She was leading me in the dance. The beautiful lady and I simply danced together. End of journal entry. Firstly, let me say I was a bit taken aback by Our Lady using turds in my dream. But when I thought about that for a while, I realised that these dreams were especially designed for me and my level of life's experiences. Showing me as a turd in a river of turds gives me definite knowledge of how Our Lady felt about my past life. However, the dream showed me that Our Lady was to be thanked for drawing me out of my past life and leading me to Medjugorje. The second part of the journal entry, showing Our Lady dancing with me, made me believe she was my teacher and guide. Using dancing with me in the dream showed me I had progressed well from the turd stage. I had gained better status. In the next episode, I will talk more on entries from my journal because that sort of shows how I've progressed over the long period I've been given dreams and other promptings. And if Pete from the Aboriginal School has got a system in place for the Medjugorje Centre charity to start awarding scholarships, I will report on that as well. So to hear more about my Medjugorje experiences and the wonderful hints and promptings I received to guide me, tune in again next week. Please subscribe on YouTube or follow on Spotify and click likes and ratings too, if you will. So, wonderful listeners, this is Trev, tuning out until next week.